Yeah, hi guys. So in this session, today we will discuss about the interfaces. So we'll discuss about the interfaces in this session. What is an interface actually? Interfaces are, if you try to see in any programming languages, you'll be able to see about the interface. In a OOPS programming language, more especially, interfaces concept, we'll be able to see about the class and also about the interface also you'll be able to hear lot of times. So normally in interface, what we can say is in the TypeScript point of view or otherwise in the JavaScript point of view, interface is nothing but it defines the structure of an object or the structure of a class. So let's say that class is also something like blueprint of an object in our JavaScript. So it defines the structure of an object in TypeScript. So I will try to show you one scenario where this interface will be mainly useful. So let's say that this is our main.ts file. Okay, or otherwise let's keep it like this. Let's go to this hi. So this one is static. For the static thing I have told, right? Let's go create a new thing, interface.ts file. So now let's say that I have one person with name Leela or as an employee or something like this. Okay, he has a name something like Leela. Okay, and age or occupation, so something something we can say, okay, after something, and we will be having a method inside this one. Okay, so we can mention it in a such a way that we can write it something like hello. We can make it hello, or otherwise we can get a greeting from here, string value, and we can console.log. so greet I can do plus, and I can have a gap here, and I can do something like what I can do here, something like what I can do is, so this dot name I can use this dot name, something like this. Okay, so this is an object. We know that about this object. So this is one type of object. One second. Yeah, so this is an object. So now this object, something like let's assume that this is a Leela person. Okay, so this person, he is having a property of name and an occupation and a method something but greeting hello. So now let's try to create another person with name John or anything. Okay, so now this guy has a something like his name only, so he is not adding occupation and the greeting and all those things. Now let's say that we have a situation that we will be assuming whenever in our application or anything, so we will be assuming that a person, if you are having a person details, so if you want to have a person details, then you will be thinking that in this application or in this web thing or in this application, so what I can say is a person means nothing but he must contain a name, an occupation, and also a greeting method. So you'll be thinking like that. But whereas this John person has only the name, he doesn't have an occupation and a greeting, so that could not be the behavior. Now while going on in the application, so if I try to call something like Leela person dot greet, okay, if I want to use dot hello, so if I want to use this one, so I will send something like a text here. Now this one will work without any problem. But when I want to greet John, so there is no greeting here, so this creates an error. Okay, that means what we need to do is we need to make this person mandatory, that whenever you are trying to implement a person details, must and should you need to have a name, occupation, and a greeting. So other details, if you want, you can add it, but you must have these all details. So now how can we mandatory make this person? So whenever we are creating a object for a person, so we should make them mandatorily that we should have a name, age, and a greeting thing or a method. So what can we do is, so here the interface comes into a very role that it defines the structure of an object. So this is the structure of an object. The structure of this person object is, the structure is nothing but it contains a name, an occupation. Okay, it contains a name, an occupation, and also a greeting, hello. Okay, so this is the structure. So this is the structure that a person should have. So that means, and also we will be expecting the same structure to be for the John person also. But here the John person is not having any greeting or occupation, and this one is completely, the system is allowing. Okay, the system should not allow this type of behavior. So what we need to do is, so we need to create an interface. Okay, so we need to create an interface. Now interface is useful for creating a, for defining the structure of an object. Here we are trying to define the structure of an object. So that is the reason we need to create an interface. Normally in the interface we can create it with the I as the prefix. Okay, so by that we will be able to know that this is an interface. So I person. Okay, so this is a person detail. So I am trying to define the structure for a person. So here before prefix, if I keep I am able to understand that okay, this is not a class, this is an interface. Now in this interface what I can say is, the name should be contained of string, and occupation should be of type string. If you want you can also mention age should be of type number, and also we should have a hello. So this should take a string value. Okay, whatever the name it may be, it should take a string value, and it should return the void. Okay, so this is the structure we are trying to define, and we are making this one to implement the I person. So implement the I person means this should have an I person. Now immediately we got an error. What is this error we got? If you hover here, you will be able to see that property age is missing in this interface I person. So we have implemented the age, which does not have this age in this Leela person. So let's say, let's add this age also. Now this one is making the person. Okay, this one is making, what I can say, this one is making, this interface is making this Leela person to implement all the properties that are defined in this one. So now here if I try to tell that John person, so you need to implement this I person means, now again these all the errors will come. So now what you need to do, you need to copy these all things. So you can, I need to add it. So here whatever the values you want you can add it, but I am trying to copy and paste it. Now without any fear or anything, so what I can do here, so I can try to assume that John person, he is of type I person. So that means must and should, he will be having a hello. So I, without any problem, I can use this one. Okay, so this is how interfaces will be useful for us to define the structure of an object. So this is the main usage of the interface. So now whenever you are trying to define the structure of an object, so this interface will be very useful. So the next thing what I want to explain you is, interface is not only useful for implementing these objects, these are also useful for implementing the classes also. So these are mainly useful for the classes implementation only, but I am trying to show you that we can also use it for the objects. Mainly interfaces will be using it for the classes. For example, let's say that we'll try to use the same thing only. Okay, so now I already told you that classes are nothing but the blueprints of an object. Okay, so this one is an object, Leela person is an object. So this is the structure of an object. We need to create a blueprint for this one. So how can I create? So I can say that class person. So if anybody wants to be a person, they should have a name. So that means they should have a name. Okay, and they should have a occupation of type string. So to define this type of blueprint, so they should have an age of type number. Okay, that's it. So now you need to create a constructor, and you need to get a name of type string, occupation of type string, and age of type number. So we will be having like this. So there should be no semicolon, it should be a comma. And here, so you can add this dot name is equal to name, and this dot occupation is equal to occupation, and this dot age is equal to age. So I can use it like this. Now we need to have, for person we need to have a method hello. So okay, fine, let's try to implement this hello also. Hello, and here I can use something like, it will take a greeting of type string. So this is a blueprint I am trying to implement for this one. So hello string, and what I can say we can do the console.log. Okay, so I can use this greet plus, and I can give the plus, and I can do something like this dot name. If I want, I can use this dot name. That's it. So this is a class person. So now let's try to close these all the things. We are having these all things. It is the reason it is throwing an error. Okay. So now we are having a class person. So which consists of name, occupation, age, and a hello. So that is nothing but name, occupation, age, and hello. So now let's say that we want to have a Leela person. Okay. So let Leela person. Instead of creating this all object, what I can do is I can create something like new person. Okay. And I can pass something like Leela, and also I can pass the age, and I also sorry, first one next one is taking the software, and then next one taking the age. That's it. So now it has finished. Okay, so Leela person is created. So that means there is no need for us to create these all the things. Now next one, what it is. So if you want to create a so if you want, you can also keep it this one. And next one is the let John person. So we want to create a John person and a new person. So here we will be having a John, and this guy is also something like software or anything. So here this guy will be up like this. Okay. So now we are having two persons. So instead of creating an object, literally we are making use of this class, and we have created an object. So now Leela person and John person is nothing but this one only. So but the blueprint, everything is present in this class person. Now let's say that I have removed hello. Okay. I have removed hello for this one. Now if you try to see, I will try to console this one, console.log Leela person, and also console.log John person. So I will try to console these both guys. So let's try to do npx tsc interface, right? Interface.ts --- watch. I will be doing this one. Let's go to this index.html file, and here let's try to use interface.js. Okay, so is this one created? Okay, John person.hello is not existing, it is trying to say. So somewhere we have used this one. So let's try to comment out this one also. Okay, so that's it. So now we are having two things, and here it has compiled. Let's try to open this one in the live server. So I'm trying to open this one in the live server. Let's try to see it. And now if you try to observe what will happen, let's try to see it. If I try to show you in the console.log here in the console, so we are able to get the two details, person. Okay, and this person is having, so if you are able to see it, person is having age 30 and name Leela, and also occupation you are able to see. In the same scenario, we are able to see age 30, but there is no hello here. Hello method is not there. If I try to implement the same thing here in this class, if I try to implement the hello and the greet of type string, if I try to implement this one, console.log greet plus, I can do plus here, and I can do this dot name. Okay, this dot name. If I use it like this, now if I try to see the output, so here if I try to see the output, now here I am able to see it is a person, and in this prototype you will be able to have a hello function. Okay, so now we are able to see this one, but now what I want to do is, if I remove this hello, okay, if I remove this hello method, now this one is entirely working. So I cannot use, so for example, if I want to use Leela person dot greet, and I want to send something like hello or something like this, so it cannot work. So we already has made it mandatory by using this iPerson for this previously for an object. So we need to make somehow for this class also to make mandatory that hello function should be implemented. So what we can do is interface, we can also use it for the classes also, as like we have how we have used it for the object, we can also use it for the class also. What we need to do is we need to do implements iPerson. Okay, So now when you try to use this implements I%, now what you need to do is whatever the methods and properties existing in this interface, so we need to must and should implement it here. So the implementation of these properties and methods should be done in this class. So that is the reason we are trying today. So the person has to implement this I%. So now it is telling that the person has incorrectly implemented the interface. Why? Because hello is missing. So you need to implement this hello also. So now somehow I am making mandatory for this class that I need to implement the greet of type string. So I can do something like console.log hello, and plus I can use I can use this greet, and I can use this greet, and I can give some gap, and I can use this dot name. That's it. So now if I try to use this Leela person dot greet, now without any problem you will be able to get it. So why it is not coming? So Leela person dot greet, new Leela person. So we are able to get of person. So let's try to see it. So here dot greet. Okay, we are not it is not a greet, right? It is a hello. So anything. Okay. So now we are able to hello. So now we are able to get an hello method implemented. Now if I try to see the output, so now we are able to get an output hello Leela. So depending on the name of that one. So this is how we can make the user restrict to use the interface both for a person and also for an class also. So interface can be able to implement both for an object and also for an what I can say, for a class also. This is how interfaces are useful for us, what I can say, in the TypeScript class. So this is all about the interfaces thing. So not only the interface, what I can say is the interface, let's say that this is a Leela person of type person. Okay, so not only, for example, let's say that we have an I person, this has to implement name, occupation, age and hello, and this person is implementing the I person. So you cannot think that these are the only methods and the properties should be declared here. So if you want, you can also implement it any other methods you want on your own also. For example, let's say that so let's say that we have a greet method. Okay, you can also have the greet method something like that, so which is not there in the interface. For example, let's say that this Leela person, if you try to see, okay, so this is of type person. Okay, this is of type person means this is of type class. So if you want, you can also make it as I person also. Okay, so you can also make it as I person. So you can also extend this one as I person. So that completely depends on you. So now Leela person dot hello means, so in this hello is implemented in this one interface. So that means you can use it without any problem. Now for example, let's say that I have a greet method inside this one. Inside the class I have a greet method. Console.log good morning. Let's say that it will be telling good morning. Now what I want to do is, so now Leela person, we have used it as new person. So that means I have created an object from here. So that means what I can do here, so I can use something like Leela person dot greet. I can use a greet method, but we cannot use the greet method. Okay, so here it is throwing an error. Why? Because this Leela person, we are trying it to extend, so we are trying it to implement the I person. So that means it should have the properties and methods available only this whatever the interface is implementing, not whatever the person is implementing. For example, if I want to take John as a person, now if I want to implement John person dot greet, so greet will be available for this guy, but whereas Leela person does not have this greet thing. Why? Because it is in here, it is implementing the I person, whereas this John is implementing the person. So these are the things you need to understand. So whenever you are using this I person or person, so you need to understand that whichever you are trying to implement here, the object will try to implement those methods and properties only. For this one, if you want, you can use this person like this. Now the greet will be available. Now if we try to see here, good morning, we are able to see for both Leela and this John is showing us the greet. So this is the how we will be using this one. So whatever the thing you need to use here, I person or person, if you have a doubt in all those things, so you need to understand this thing. So whatever the methods you want to implement, so you'll be implement like this. Normally what the people will do is they will try to mention here the greet also, so that this one will be implemented automatically. And if you want, you can also use the I person here. So that's all completely depends on you. So this is about this one. And what I can do is interface not only what I can say, not only use the like this, you can also extend another interface also. For example, let's say that I have another interface iGreet. Okay, so in this iGreet I will be having this one greet method void, and instead of using like this iGreet, and you can extend this one iGreet. Okay, so now this greet method is also implemented in this one. So iPerson, if I don't implement this greet thing, if I don't implement this greet thing, now you will get an error. Why? Because greet method should be implemented. So why? Because in this iPerson, so you are implementing this iPerson. Okay, in this iPerson, greet method is not there, but this iPerson is extending another interface, and this interface is having greet. So that means this person indirectly they have to implement, it has to implement this one and also the greet also. So now let's say try to say this one. So now if I try to use this one here iPerson, so now the greet will be valid for both of these things. Okay, so like this you'll be using. So why we will be dividing these interfaces? So you will be having some other class, something like you will be having a class greeting. So you will be using implements. So you don't want to implement all those things. I want to implement iGreet only. So you must and should you will be implementing this greet method. Okay, so like this you will be implementing like this. So you can combine the two interfaces also. So like this using the extend. So the an interface can extend another interface also. So like this you can use it. So we can use our shorthand notation also if you want here. So these are things you have already learned. So if you want, you can also implement the shorthand notation like this, public and public. This is also completely valid. So it's not a problem. So this is all about the extending of this interface. So and also you can also have a read-only property like this. So these are all some of the concepts which we need to understand it. Apart from this one, what I can say is other than these interfaces, so what I can say, let's say that I don't want to implement this age. It is not a mandatory thing. So for example, let's say that person is having, so now person must and should is implementing name, occupation and age. I want this age not to be a mandatory, it's an optional. If he wants to mention, he can mention it. So then we can put a question mark here, so that here also I can put a question mark here, or otherwise there is no need to mention it, not a problem. Okay, so this is completely valid, and here you can remove this age. Okay, or otherwise you can make it as this dot age is equal to, if anybody doesn't provide anything, you can make it as a 30, something like that, and here you can mention it public age of type number. So this is completely valid. So now if you don't mention the age also, this one will be without any problem, this one will be implemented. Now here I can remove this age thing. Okay, now this is perfectly valid thing. Why? Because now this iPerson is extending this one, but this person is not at all implementing the age property. There is no age property here. It is completely optional. Okay, if you keep a question mark here, this is completely optional. For example, if you keep question mark for this one, this is also completely optional. And if you keep it not like this, so if you keep an optional like this, so this is completely optional. This is completely optional. Like this, you can use whatever the thing you want. Okay, so like this, we can use the question mark thing to keep it as a completely optional. So this is all about the interfaces concept. And other thing what I want to tell you is, so like this we'll be using the interfaces. So these are the things which we will be trying to implement the interfaces like this. So whenever you want to create a person or whenever you want to create a class, we will be implementing this interface thing and we'll be using like this. In Angular, we will be able to see more often these all things. We'll try to understand more there. So this is all about the introduction of these interfaces. This is how only we'll be using in the other thing also. So let's go on to this another topic, that is nothing but generics. So let me create another one, generics. So I will try to close this one also today, generics.js. so now let's say that so we are having a names of type array, let's assume. Okay, so this one is a names thing. Now we know that this is of type array. So what I can do here, I can tell that this is of type array, or otherwise I can tell something like array. Okay, and or otherwise I can say this is an array, but still we are able to get an error. So what is the error we are getting? Let's try to hover here. If you try to hover here, it is telling that interface array of t. If you try to see here, array of t in angle brackets, you are able to see array of t. And if I try to mention it like this, something like this, and here you will be able to mention can only be used in the, so let's try to see something like array will try to keep it. And if you try to see here, we will be able to see interface array of t. So you are able to see array of t. So that means array, we know that it is a data type. And if you try to mention here something like string of something like this, okay. So now if you try to mention string of type annotations only be used. So this is not a TypeScript file or what? Oh, sorry, this one I am using in the JS. What is the problem we are getting? I am trying to see TS file. This is a TS file. Now let's try to see. I will try to tell you. Now if you try to see here array, if I try to edit array, okay. Now if you try to see here, if you hover here, this is the error actually we need to get. So array of t we are getting, and here if you try to see here, the error which is telling that generic type, okay, generic type array of t requires one type argument. So that means it requires an argument that is of nothing but data type. Type argument, it needs a type argument. That means what type is accepted in this array, I need that one, it is trying to say. So normally if you try to say here, you will try to mention string of something like this. So that means here we are using a combination of two data types. One is a string data type and another one is an array data type. Okay, we can also implement it something like array of string. Okay, we can also tell like this also. This is also valid only. So this is an array which takes of data type string. So that means we are using a combination of two data types. This is called as a generics. Okay, so we are telling that this is an array of string. I will try to tell you another scenario. So normally these are built-in generics. These are built-in generics available in the TypeScript. Let's say that custom generics if we want to implement. So how we can implement is, let's say I have a promise. So you all people aware of this promise, we already discussed. So let's say that I am creating a new promise. So this one will have two parameters, that is nothing but resolve and reject. And I will be using set timeout here. So this set timeout after 2000 millisecond 2 seconds or something like that. So this will send a message something like promise done or something message it will send you. Okay, so this is a promise. Now I want to use this one promise dot then when it is resolved. Okay, so dot then I need to get the data. So I got the data and I want to do some manipulations with the data. I know that this is a string. So this promise done is a string. I know that the promise when it is resolved, I will get a return type of string. So what I can do here, so I can use something like data dot split of something like this, and I can do whatever the manipulations I want, I can do it. Now if you try to see here, we are able to get an error. Why? Because the TypeScript cannot able to know that this data. So here it is telling that I don't know about this data type. This is an unknown data type. I don't know about the data type of this one, so I cannot allow you to apply the string methods on this data. Why? Because this doesn't know about the data type of this response. So this response, whenever you are trying to get a response from a promise, the TypeScript cannot able to recognize what is the response, what is the type of response we are getting it from the promise. It is telling it is an unknown. So now here if you try to see here, so this promise variable returns a promise. Okay, returns a promise. What type of data it will try to return? So it is also unable to recognize. So we know that this one will return a data type, we will return a value, nothing but a string. So we can mention it something like promise of type string. So it will return of type string. So we are telling it as string. Now if you go to the response here, now it is telling that response dot string. So now I am able to understand that this is of type string data. So now I can apply the split and all those things, whatever the string manipulations I want to apply, I can apply it. So like this we can mention using the generics. Now this one will return a promise. Now this one will not allow it. For example, if I want to return a number here, now everything got error again. So here it will tell you that you are telling that this promise will return a string, but here you are trying to return a number which will not be allowed. So argument of type number is not assignable parameter of type string or promise like string. Okay. So here I cannot allow the number which will be accepted. So here I will allow only the string value. So that is the reason it is taking the string. So this is all about the generics concept. So now if I try to tell about this generics thing, so this is the basic introduction of this generics thing. So now let's go on to, these are the built-in generics that are available. So promise, these are all the built-in data types and all those things that are available. So we can also create our custom generics also. Let's try to say that I have a function. Okay. So merge method, I'm having a merge method. It will take two objects, object A comma object B. Okay. I don't know about the properties and all those things available in this one. So let's say that this is a generic object. And also let's say that this is also a generic object. Okay. And I will merge these two things. So what I can do here, return object dot assign. I can use this assign property. We have already discussed. Assign is used to merge the two objects. So what I can do here, object A comma object B. So I can use these two objects, object A comma object B. So let's make it as small. So now this one will merge the two objects and it will return you the data. Now let's say that constant data is equal to, so I will be using this merge object. Okay. Here I will be sending the name of type string. Okay. And here I will be sending the number. Let's assume. So sorry, name of type string I am sending like this. Oh, sorry. Name of type Leela. Okay. So this is the thing, and also I am sending a number. Let's assume. So now here I am getting an error that object B, the second parameter object B should be of type object. So that means any object. So it can have any properties or anything. It should be an object notation. So what I can do here, so here I can send something like another one, age of 30 or something like this. Okay. So now we are sending, so now this merge, we are not getting any error. So why? Because object A should be of type object. Yes, this is of type object only. Whatever the properties it may be, it is of type object. And age is also an object. Now let's try to see something like console.log data.age. I want to access data.age. But I am getting an error here. But here if you try to see object.assign object A comma object B, so that means it will merge the two objects, so that the resulting object, okay, the resulting object, if you try to see here, the function notation, let's try to take it down here. The function notation of this one, merge object A and object B, and this results in an object only. So what kind of what properties it will exist in that object means we don't know. Why? Because the TypeScript don't know. So we can send whatever the thing. Sometimes I can send the name, sometimes I can send here the employee. Everything is valid. Here I can say, sometimes I will try to send the occupation. Okay. So everything is valid here. So here the TypeScript cannot able to tell that, okay, I know that this is an object, but I don't know what are the properties available. So object, see here it is telling that age does not exist on the type object. Object means it is a generalized object, and and I don't know about the age property. So one thing what I can do is here, so here I can tell that, so I can typecast this one. So resulting one will yield something like employee of type string, and it will get another one as age of type number. So I am typecasting this one so that the resulting will have an object of something like this. So now if you try to see here data, it will contain the two properties, employee and age. Now if you try to apply the age, it is working. So if I try to use this one same method, not ts generics. Okay. So if I try to use this generics.ts -- watch, so let's try to go to this index.html, and if I try to use this one, sorry, JS file, and if we try to use this one, oh, so these all the things are we are getting. So 2015 or later we need to use it. So let's try to use this. So we are able to get the 30. So we are able to get an answer of 30. So how we are getting this one? So now we are somehow restricting the user. We are typecasting the object that the return value of this merge merge will contain employee and age. Now let's say that I am converting this one age to occupation. So this is a generic object, right? So I can use whatever the property 7 I want, I can use. Now if I try to access this occupation, now it will throw an error. Why? Because so the result of this merge, I am telling that it will contain a properties of employee and an age, but it is containing only the occupation. Okay. So this is how. So now what we can do is, so we know that this is of type object. So let's make this one as. So let's make this one as T. Okay, let's make this one as T. And let's make this one as U. So whatever the name you want, you can mention it here. So here I am just maintaining that one. So it consists of a T and it consists of a U. And here if you try to see, I can remove this one. Okay. So I can remove this one. So this consists of a T. So that means it is of a type T. And this one is of type U. So here this results in something like, I can tell that. So this results in a combination of T and U. Okay. I can mention it like this, or otherwise what I can do is, so this one will take an type of something like T comma U. I can tell that this merge will get a two parameters which is of type T and which is of type U. Okay, so the type will be whatever the thing it may be. So the resident type of this one will be a combination of T and U. Now if you try to see here, so the T will become the first parameter. The first parameter, what is the type you are having? This is an object, and now this is an object, this is another object, so which is of type U here. You can think of this one as a U, and you can think of this one as a type T here. Okay, so T means nothing but the naming convention I'm using. Instead of having the object like this, I'm using the T and U. Now here we will be telling that, so this is the combination of this one. So now here whatever the thing I use here, data.age, now here it will throw an error, and you can use data.age. So here it will not throw any error. So it is telling that, okay, so this one is of type employee, like this you will be having, and here you will be having U means, so in this U you will be having age. So these two combinations I will be returning. So that means it should have an age. So the combination of these two things, depending on the parameters, depending on the arguments, what are we trying to send the merge, it will do according to this one. For example, let's say that I am trying to send a 30 here. Okay, I am trying to send a 30 here. It is completely valid. It is completely valid. So why? Because let's try to remove this console.log. So why? Because object A should be of type T. So T means whatever the data type, any data type. Here the data type where what we are trying to send, depending on that one, this T data type will be like that. Now here we are trying to send the data type as an object. Now the T will be an object. So that is nothing but object which consists of employee Leela. Now U, so second one, object B, it consists of U. U means here depending on the argument it will be having. So this is of type number and object B will be of type number. So now here the T will be an object and U will be a number. So now the combination, depending on the combination, it will give you something like intersection of T and U. The combination of T and U it will give you. And also if you want, you can also mention something like, so here I am sending first one as employee of type string. Okay, and the second one I am sending age of type number. So these are the two parameters I am trying to send. We will be telling. So you can here you can use something like this. Okay, so I want to send merge of employee of type string, and also like this I am trying to send it. Cannot be applied to, is what I am trying to say. This one it is throwing an error. Let's leave it that one. So now here if you want to send, I can tell something like this we can tell. So why it is throwing an error? 1 second. If you want, you can also use something like merge. Okay, so I can use a merge. So here I can use something like name of type employee of type string. I can use it. Okay, And another one what I can use is comma. So I can use something like number. So let's try to use it like this. Okay, so this one, second one is taking it as a number, so it should not be something like this, it should be something like this one, number. Okay, so but here what we need to do is, so here I need to send this one also as an object which is of type number. Okay, so now what we are trying to tell, so this merge should contain a T and U. The T should be of type employee string and the U should be of type age number. So immediately here it is throwing an error that number is not accepted. It will accept an object that is of type number. So here must and should, it will allow us to enter age of type number. Okay, oh sorry, age of type 30. So like this we will be trying. So you will be getting a little bit of confused about these generics. These are somewhat confusing only. First time when you try to see, you will be getting confused. So like this we can mention. So for example, you don't want to mention it here. Okay, so I mention it like this. Now for example, I am trying to send the 30 value. Okay. Now it is not throwing any error. You can also send, you can also say here, so it should extend the object. Okay, it should extend the object. It should be a of type object, and also you can tell that it should extend the object here. Now here again it will tell an object that, so whatever the number you are trying to send, this is not an object. So whatever may be the object, this is not an object. So if you want to send an object means, then you need to send here age 30, or otherwise you can send whatever may be. It may be an age, it should be an object, that's it. So like this also we can restrict the user to send only the object for this one. So this is how the custom generics actually we will be using in our Angular and all those things. So this is how we will be planning and we will be doing. So this is all about this T and extending the functionality of this one generics also. So little bit confusion you will be having, but we can also create a generic function. This is called as an constraints. So we are making a generalized data type to be extending to a particular data type. So this is how. Now he need to pass only the object which is a combination of object only. We cannot pass either string or something like that. He cannot pass whatever the things you want, he cannot pass it. So this could be this could lead to an error. He cannot pass the boolean also. So like this we will be using a generics thing. So before closing this generics, so before closing this generics concept, I will try to tell you another generics thing so that you will have somewhat clear idea, somewhat basic idea. Let's say that combination of generics with an interface. So I want to use a combination of interface, combination of generics with an interface. So let's say that I have a function. Okay, so let's say that this one is a get count and describe. Okay, so this is a function I will be trying to use. This one will take an element, okay, which is of type T. So we don't know the data type, it should be of type T. Okay, so here I will be having a text. So I will be telling something like got no element. Okay, first time I got no element. So when if element dot length, so if it is having a element dot length is equal to 1. Okay, if is equal to 1, then I can tell that text is equal to got one element. Okay, so if it's equal to 1, got one element. So if element dot length is greater than 1, if it is greater than 1, so then I can say something like text is equal to got plus element dot length plus elements. So like this I will be using. So here I will be returning at last array of, first one I will send the element what you have sent, and also I will try to send the text also. So this is the thing I will be trying to send it. So now the element will be of type T. So this is the T element. So now I will be creating an interface lengthy. So I length or anything, I lengthy or I length or something like that. Okay. So now what I can do is, so this should have a length of type number. So must and should, it should have a length of type number. So whoever wants to implement this one, it should have a length of type number. Okay. So now this count and describe, so we'll take a argument of type T. We have already read about this one. Okay. Now what I will try to do here, so I will try to console.log get count and describe. Get count and describe. I want to send the data. So if I am trying to send the data here, okay, so now this string data will contains a length property. Okay, so now what I want to do here, so here it is telling that it is using a generalized data type. For example, if I try to mention it as a string, every errors will go away. Okay, why? Because string contains a length property. Now if I want to send an array here, okay, I will try to send an array here. So array also contains the length property, not a problem. So for example, if you go here, if I try to take let x is equal to something like this, and if I try to do x dot length, so x has a length property. So for example, let's say that x is equal to array of 1 comma 2 comma 3 I am taking. So x dot length, if you try to see, x dot length also has a array prop. So array also has a length property. So that means here I can send whether string or an array. Okay, I can send string or an array. So anyway isn't valid. So array of string or something like this, you can send it. So whatever the thing you want, you can send it. So tomorrow if you try to see that another data type supports, for example, let's say that object supports. Now you will try to write that object also, it will object also, we can send it as an element. So this cannot be possible, right? So whatever the data types you are going on writing, so or condition, this could not be possible. Now the return type of this one, what you can assume? So here the return type of this one, you can assume it something like, so element will be of string or array. So here if element will be of string or array or object, or the another one will be an string or object like this, you are able to see it. So this could not be the behavior. It should not happen like this. Okay, the string or object like this, you are able to see it. This should not happen like this. So we need to correctly assume the element property. Okay, element data type, we should assume it correctly. So that is the reason I am telling it as T. So whatever may be, it may be an array, string or anything. Tomorrow if anything comes, that needs to support the length property, that needs to have this length property, whatever may be the data type, that needs to have a length property. Here it is showing that length, that you are using some generalized T, but I don't know what is this D, I don't know about this T data type. So it can be X or anything. Okay, it can be X or anything. So I am using some generalized thing. So it is telling that you are using some data type of type X. I don't know about this X. I don't know that whether this X data type contains a length property or not. I know that string has a length property, array has a length property like that, but I don't know about this X data type, and I don't know that whether it has a length property or not. So that is the reason it is throwing an error. And now what I will try to tell is here, I will tell that this extends I length. Okay, so that means whoever I am trying to send you the data type, whether it may be a string, array, object or anything, must and should this will have a length property. I am telling that one will have a must and should length property. If I try to send here number 3, immediately you will get an error here. Why? Because number doesn't have a length property. Okay, so this argument of type number is not assignable of type I length. So now this number doesn't have a length property. So that is the reason it is throwing an error. If you try to pass a string, so this string has a length property. So that is the reason it is not throwing an error, and here it is also working very fine. And now here if you try to see here, this return type for this one is must and should, you will be able to understand this one. So here this one will send an return type of, so if you try to see here, you can send something like, so the return type should be an array which consists of tuple. So we need to mention the tuple here, which consists of, first one is an element, that is nothing but X, and the next one will be a string automatically. So that is must and should it will be having. So this is the return type for this one. So now if you hover here, you will be able to see that it is having return type of string comma string. Why? Because we are passing the string. Here if I try to pass an array, okay, if I try to pass 1 comma 2, if I try to pass array, so now this one is also works. Now if I try to hover here, you will be able to see that element first one, so it is of type, so first one is an array of numbers it is having, and the next one is a string. So now it is able to estimate clearly the return types and also the things what are they available. So now whoever the property or whatever the arguments we are trying to send it to this count method, that does not contain this length property. If it does not contain this length property, it will not implement, it will throw an error here automatically. This is the use of the generics in the TypeScript. So this is all about the generics concept. So hope this one is enough for us. So in Angular we can see most of the things we'll be implementing it like this. So then there you'll be able to understand it. So this is all about the generics concept. We'll see about this. This is all about the TypeScript and all those generics. So a lot of things are also available in the TypeScript, but these are more than enough. So remaining all is the somewhat advanced things. Those are not necessary. While going on, we can learn it.